What law school did you attend?
I went to the University of California at Berkeley in the fall of 1972.
How many women were in your law school class?
Well, my class at law school had a lot of women compared with peer schools. My class was about 1/3 women.
How did your experience of law school conform with your impression of what law school would be like?
Well, about 1 month into law school, I decided I wanted to do something else. Anything but this, I'd run for the hills. And I spoke with a couple of friends and faculty about that and was encouraged to stick with it and just see how it goes. And I think that was really good advice. I powered through, if you will, and then things really fell together and I started really enjoying it.
What was your job after your first year for the summer?
I was research assistant in the first summer to one of my professors, Stephen Barnett, and he was working on a study that was aimed at developing a more comprehensive approach in the law to privacy.
Were there other people that you thought of as your mentors in law school?
Well, I worked with another professor, David Lewisell. He produced a series of summaries and commentary on Supreme Court decisions, and I would help edit those. And I also had a job narrating these because as they were taped.
Where are you admitted to the bar?
I'm admitted in California. I took that bar exam first before I came to New York, and I'm admitted in New York, and I'm admitted in Connecticut.
So you got this advice to go to a law firm.
Well, for a richly resourced law firm experience, I sort of went for the jugular, and I went to New York, and I worked at Hughes, Hubbard and Reed on Wall Street. I was there just a little bit under 3 years.
And where did you go next?
So after Hughes, Hubbard and Reed, I went to Yale as a junior attorney in a brand new Office of General Counsel. That was 1978.
1978.
I went as Assistant General Counsel and was promoted to Associate General Counsel about 6 months later. When I became General Counsel 7 years later, in the peer group that used to speak together about common issues, there were 2 women general counsels out of 12. Years later, when I retired from the position at Yale, there were 7 out of 12 were women, were the top legal officer at those universities.
When did you retire Yale?
Well, I retired from my position as vice president and general counsel in the fall of 2014.
So you were at Yale from 78 to 2014 in the general counsel's office. Over that period of time, were there women leaders at Yale, or women that participated on the governing board at Yale that you found inspiring, or that served as mentors or gave you good advice?
One in particular, Barbara Preskel, who was at the time the general counsel of the Motion Picture Association, approached Benno Schmidt in 1987 and said, general counsel should be an officer of the corporation and should be attending full Yale Corporation meetings. And he, of course, immediately agreed, and I was made an officer of the Yale Corporation. And in fact, I was the second woman in Yale's history to become an officer of Yale.
In that long career at Yale, are there one or two transactions or matters or issues that stand out?
I was asked to study the Copyright Revision Act of 1978 and how it would apply to the university shortly after my arrival at Yale. When you looked at the copyright law and how it would apply within the university, there's so many different ways it would. We have authors, we have publishers, we have faculty using the material to teach, we have students copying material placed on reserve, we had music, we had musical recordings, we had people performing music. You know, there were just so many different aspects of it. And of course, the client's the university. So these different perspectives needed to be reconciled in some way.
Let's turn to some family questions. You said that you married after your second year in law school. Do you have children?
I have 2 daughters.
When in your career path were they born?
I had my 2 daughters 2 years apart when I was at Yale. It's something I would not have taken on in the context of being an associate at Hughes Hubbard and Reed. It was a friendlier context in which to do it.
How would you say that your career impacted your family?
It was a struggle for me to make the time that I needed to for my family. And my daughters have been very forgiving about that and were as children. I do think that I met my responsibilities reasonably well as a mother, and of course I enjoyed them as children immensely.
Do you think that being a lawyer has satisfied all of those aspects of your abilities?
I have enjoyed a career that's been so enriching to me. How could I ever have imagined when I was in law school looking for things that would interest me, that I would be negotiating and working on the terms under which Yale University would return to Peru archaeological material that had been excavated by Hiram Bingham 100 years earlier when he made the scientific discovery of Machu Picchu. I mean, how could I ever have imagined that getting to know this particular project, this particular history, and having it happen and being the one to make it happen would ever fall to my watch? It was really quite extraordinary.